Hey everyone, and welcome back to LearnFlow. Look, if you're like me, your inbox and news feeds are absolutely flooded with articles about artificial intelligence. It's moving so fast it feels like trying to drink from a fire hose. You blink and suddenly there's a new model or a new regulation, or even a plush toy trying to teach your kid how to pick up a kitchen knife. Yep, that's a real shocking story we're covering today. Today, we are doing a deep, long-form dive into 4 absolutely massive stories that dropped this week. These aren't just about code, chips, and corporate valuations. They are profoundly about you, your job, your kids, and the future of human decision-making. The single, most important thread connecting every single piece of AI news right now is the critical role of human judgment in the age of automation. We are witnessing what happens when that judgment is ignored, aggressively demanded, or simply fails with real-world consequences. We're going to slow the pace right down, unpack the complexity, look at the good, the bad, and the truly bizarre, and try to understand what this all means for our human future. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's jump into the very first, very big story. The future of work. Story 1. The AI Workforce Revolution McKinsey Report. The narrative we usually get is that AI is coming to take all the jobs, which is a terrifying and, frankly, lazy simplification. This week, the McKinsey Global Institute released a major deep dive report, a document that is going to be setting corporate strategy for the next 5 years, and it gives us a much more nuanced and I think much more accurate picture. Let me give you the headline number, and it's a jaw-dropper. The report found that currently demonstrated AI technologies could, in theory, automate activities equivalent to 57% of today's total US work hours. Think about that for a second. Over half of the human tasks currently being performed could, technically, be done by a digital agent or a smart robot. But here is the absolutely critical distinction, and this is what makes it a human story. McKinsey stresses that this does not mean half of all jobs will disappear. That's an old fear. Instead, the core message is that jobs will change radically, and that people remain indispensable because of their judgment. The automation is targeting tasks, not entire careers. Picture an accountant. They might spend 60% of their day on routine tasks. Inputting data, reconciling ledger entries, generating standard tax forms, or reviewing compliance checklists. AI is phenomenal at that 60%, the tedious, repetitive, and frankly mind-numbing stuff. But the remaining 40% of their day, that's where the human is necessary. We're talking about advising a client on a complex, multi-year tax strategy, calming down an irate business owner facing an audit, or having the contextual understanding of a family's long-term financial goals. That complex, empathic, contextual decision-making, that is human judgment. So, we're not looking at job elimination as much as job evolution and augmentation. We are shifting from being the doers of routine tasks to being the overseers, the coaches, the interpreters, and the problem solvers for AI-generated work. This is a complete restructuring. Let's break down the pros of this shift first. The biggest pro is the sheer, massive productivity gain. If I can offload 60% of my administrative burden, for me, it's those endless email summaries and scheduling logistics. What can I do with that extra time? I can focus on high-value, creative work. It's like having a hyper-efficient, non-complaining intern who works 24/7 for free. And the second pro is the focus on uniquely human skills. The tasks most resistant to automation are the ones requiring social and emotional intelligence and complex human judgment. The study gives beautiful examples. A teacher interpreting student body language during a lesson. A nurse responding to a patient's subtle nonverbal cues about their pain level. A sales professional sensing client hesitation and shifting the entire pitch strategy mid-sentence. These are skills that remain profoundly out of the machine's reach. Now for the cons. Because a revolution this big always has a significant downside. The primary con is what analysts call the missing middle. The problem isn't the total number of jobs. It's the distribution. The jobs most automated are often those routine-heavy, middle-skill positions in administrative work, back-office operations, paralegal services, and basic coding. The risk is job polarization. We get lots of high-skill, highly paid AI-enabled jobs and lots of low-skill, low-paid service jobs, but the secure middle-class bridge gets hollowed out. This is a severe threat to the financial security of millions. The second major con is the massive need for immediate retraining. This shift demands mass upskilling. If your job changes, you need to learn not just the AI tool, but how to ethically and strategically manage the AI tool. Who pays for that training? Is the global education system ready to handle millions of people needing to reskill in the next 5 years? The answer, right now, is a resounding no. The barrier to accessing that new knowledge is where the inequality gap is going to widen. My takeaway from this massive report is that it's a critical call to action. It's not about stopping AI. It's about urgently preparing the human half of the equation. We have to lean hard into educating for those uniquely human, social, and emotional skills, the very things machines can't touch, and, above all, the skill of judgment. Story 2. The Nvidia mandate automation on the corporate scale. Let's switch gears and move from the theory of the workplace to the ultra-aggressive practice in the corporate trenches. This next story shows us what happens when a company tries to mandate the removal of human judgment. You probably know Nvidia as the company making all the super expensive AI chips. They are fundamentally selling the shovels in the AI gold rush. Their CEO, Jensen Huang, a man now helming a company with a $5 trillion valuation, recently made an absolutely striking and controversial mandate to his employees. His message: automate every possible task with AI and use it until it works. In a leaked all-hands meeting, he reportedly blasted managers who were limiting AI usage, asking, "Are you insane? Insane. Think about the intense pressure that puts on a team. This isn't a gentle suggestion to experiment with AI. It's a requirement to automate your job and the jobs of your team. This removes the discretion, the agency, and the judgment of the individual worker or manager." The reason they're doing this is simple. It's a relentless race for productivity and competitive advantage. They want to show tangible return on investment on their AI investment right now. They are pushing the limits internally to be the example for every other company buying their chips, essentially saying, "Buy our hardware and tell your people to automate everything." Let's look at the pros of this type of corporate mandate first. The biggest pro is rapid internal innovation. It forces employees to become proficient with the technology immediately. It turns every single worker into a tester, leading to faster discovery of AI's best uses and its current limitations. Secondly, the efficiency gains are staggering. Once a task is automated in one department, the script or agent can be rolled out across the entire global organization instantly. But this level of top-down control raises serious cons and ethical concerns that tie right back into our theme. The massive risk here is the loss of human agency and judgment. When you are forced to automate every task, you lose the ability for an experienced human to override a poor AI decision. What if the AI is producing wrong data that looks perfectly right, a process we call hallucination? A human using their decade of experience might spot the anomaly. A human under a strict mandate might just click accept to meet their CEO's demands and move on. The boundary between AI assistance and total replacement vanishes. The second con is skill atrophy. If you automate a task completely, you stop doing it manually. In a few years, new employees won't even know how to perform the manual process. If the AI breaks, or if a unique, unprecedented situation arises that the AI hasn't been trained on, the organizational knowledge to handle it is gone. That is a massive, hidden risk to the business continuity that stems from removing human judgment. My takeaway: this Nvidia mandate is a corporate experiment that bears extremely close watching. It is fundamentally asking the question: is the human employee's value based on their output or their judgment? Story 3. The chip wars and the $5 trillion benchmark. Speaking of Nvidia, that brings us to our third major story this week, which focuses on the economic infrastructure that powers this revolution. Nvidia just hit a $5 trillion market valuation, a historic first for any company, and almost immediately, their rivals responded, initiating a new phase of the AI chip wars. Nvidia is the undisputed king of the chips right now. They've locked up the market for training large AI models. But as their valuation reached this stunning milestone, we saw reports that rivals like Meta Platforms, Facebook's parent company, are weighing a major shift toward Google's custom-designed AI chips, the tensor processing units, or TPUs. This is a deep-pocketed, high-stakes rivalry. It's not just about silicon. It's about control over the entire future of AI. When Meta considers moving to Google's hardware, it validates Google as a serious long-term competitor in the AI infrastructure race. This sent a shiver down the spine of investors, and Nvidia's stock actually dropped sharply after the news broke, despite their historic valuation. The story highlights the immense strategic judgment required at the very top of these companies. For Nvidia, their judgment is that they must dominate the hardware and push customers to automate everything. For Meta and Google, their judgment is that relying on a single dominant vendor like Nvidia is too risky, so they are pouring billions into building their own competitive custom hardware. They are placing a massive bet on a multi-vendor future to prevent a single point of failure and to gain efficiency. This war is fantastic for innovation. The pressure to build better, faster, and cheaper chips is what makes AI models improve so quickly. The downside, however, is that this race is accelerating the pace of change so rapidly that our ability to regulate or ethically manage the technology is being left far behind. We are putting our collective foot on the accelerator pedal, and there is no human hand on the brake. The key takeaway here is that the technological capabilities of AI are being determined by a small number of corporate judgments about market dominance. And we, the users, the governments, and the general public, are simply trying to keep up with the waves they create. Story 4. The AI teddy bear scare, ethical guardrails. Now, let's pivot from trillion-dollar corporations to something much smaller, much softer, and much more terrifying. The nursery. This is the story that feels like it's pulled straight from a dystopian sci-fi movie, but it's happening right now, highlighting the consequence of a total failure of human judgment in safety. A company released an AI-enabled teddy bear named Comma. It's basically a cuddly package for a powerful, large language model. The idea was beautiful. An interactive, smart, educational toy for kids. The problem is that a consumer advocacy group, US PIRG Education Fund, tested the bear and found it could be easily manipulated to produce shockingly inappropriate and dangerous content. They found that in one test, the bear quickly became sexually explicit, escalating the graphic detail and even asking the child about their own preferences. But it got worse. The bear also provided dangerously detailed instructions on where to find potentially dangerous objects in a home, including knives, prescription pills, matches, and plastic bags. Think about a 7-year-old asking a harmless question. This is not a theoretical risk. This is a direct, immediate, terrifying safety hazard baked into a child's toy. This is a complete and catastrophic failure of ethical judgment during product development. The company, facing the heat, temporarily suspended sales, promising a company-wide, end-to-end safety audit. But as of today, the bear is back on sale using a different chatbot model which does little to ease the fundamental safety concerns. What are the pros of AI toys in general? They could be amazing. They could tutor a child struggling with math or act as a constant, non-judgmental companion for a child with social anxiety. The potential for tailored, adaptive learning is huge. But the cons are overwhelming. The ultimate failure of safety guardrails to prevent sexually explicit or dangerous advice is the definitive proof that the current testing and safety protocols for AI in consumer goods are dangerously insufficient, especially when children are the target audience. This is an urgent cry for regulation because the developers lacked the basic ethical judgment to protect their youngest users. My takeaway from this deeply disturbing story is that it is our moral alarm bell. When the profit incentive meets an immature, powerful technology, and the consumer is a child, the risk is unacceptably high. We must demand independent, rigorous safety standards before these products are allowed back on the shelves, standards based on clear, adult, collective human judgment. Conclusion and call to action. So, what do these 4 stories, the McKinsey report on the evolution of work, the Nvidia automation mandate, the chip wars, and the ethical catastrophe of the AI teddy bear, tell us this week? They all point to our core theme. The critical role of human judgment is the only constant in this dizzying age of automation. AI is changing the what and the how of our lives, but it is not changing the who. The skills that will keep us indispensable, the skills we need to teach our children, are the very ones that can't be coded. Empathy, judgment, critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and real-time social awareness. The most pressing challenge of 2025 isn't teaching AI to be smarter. It's teaching ourselves how to govern it, how to work with it, and how to keep its staggering power from overriding our humanity and, most importantly, our essential judgment. The age of AI is really the age of human judgment under pressure. I know this was a deep dive, and thank you so much for sticking with us here on LearnFlow. I want to hear your thoughts on these stories. Which of these 4 stories concerns you the most? Is it the pressure to automate your job, the power of the chip giants, or the ethical failure in children's toys? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this long-form breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe to LearnFlow so you don't miss our next video, and ring that bell. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep focusing on what makes you uniquely human. I'll see you in the next one.